Hey guys, welcome back to Bait and Tackle. Today we are going to be playing around with the Epic Bait Molds 2.75 inch Ned Crawler. And it's a 14 cavity mold, I believe. Yeah, 14 cavity. And we also got the tail mold to go along with it. 2.75 Ned Crawler tail mold that makes 16 tails. Never so sure why. I feel like every bait company kind of makes a different size tail mold than their actual molds, but I mean, it's fine. It doesn't really make a difference. At least you get a couple extras. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But what I'm really going for today is we're going to definitely showcase those molds, and we're going to make some baits for my buddy Kevin. He wanted me to make these red colored Ned heads. And they're weedless Ned heads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a bright red colored, and we've got this really bright red colorant from Lure Works, and I'm going to try using that. What I want to do is I want to make a green pumpkin body in the Ned mold, but I'm going to make some red tails to go on it. So you'll see the red Ned head on top, and then you'll have a red tail on it as well. So I just wanted to try to make something a little bit different. And then I think we're going to do something a little bit unique too, is I'm just going to make one solid colored body, and we're going to use this MF Cutthroat Trout changeable color. So let's see how this one turns out. After we get all said and done, like I said, the green pumpkin one, I've got it already mixed up. It's already pre-made. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some flake to it to make it my Grinch color. And we're gonna just check it out on one of these Ned heads just to see what it looks like. So let's start getting some plastic heated up. I got to get some fresh plastic for the red so we can mix up the red color, and I got to get the green pumpkin heated up so that we can do the different flake colors, and then we'll get some more plastic for the Cutthroat Trout color, which should be pretty cool. So stay tuned. And like always, I got my drill set up. I got my plastic, and it's not shaken up yet, and this is a kind of a medium blend, so we're going to go ahead and get this mixed up real good. And I've got my drill on 1 speed because I don't want it to get too fast and get too taken away from me. We're also introducing some air to the plastic, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be using the vacuum chamber to get the air bubbles out anyway. Let's go ahead and get this mixed up. We'll get our 2 cups poured that we need, and then we'll be back and heat it up. Alright guys, it's been a crazy busy time of year for me for work, so I'm trying to keep up, trying to get some content put out for y'all to watch. And it looks like I got a little bug inside my plastic, which I'm not happy about. So we'll get him out of there. So this one we're going to make the red. We're going to heat him up first. We're going to make the tail mold. So we're going to go ahead and start getting him heated up. And then this one's going to be the changeable one. That's going to be a separate color. And we're going to go ahead and get this one. This is the green pumpkin that I've got. And I'm just going to add some flake to it. Like I said, this is just some green pumpkin with some it has some changeable, a little bit of changeable in it, not much, and this was heated up a little while ago, so it should be okay to do that. But what I'm going to do is just cut this up into pieces. This heats up a lot better when it's cut into pieces and prevents the mushrooming and burning of the plastic. Just keep an eye on everything, make sure that everything doesn't burn. I've been doing that a little bit lately, and I've been kind of upset with myself for doing that, just heating it up too much when I know I'm heating it up too much. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this into the Grinch color, which I've made previously, and I think I've made in the previous video before. But what it is it's a green pumpkin, and it has black flake in it, which this already has the black flake in it. And then we add a whole bunch of other flakes. So we're going to add silver, gold, we're going to add red, and we're going to add green. So we're going to add 4 more colored flakes to it. They're all at 0.015 size, which is not huge, but it's not super small either. It's not the tiny one. I want it to be a little bit prominent in there. And we're not going to put a ton in there. We're just going to put enough to make it a little bit Christmassy. That's why I call it the Grinch. So it's going to have a bunch of different colors, and one of my favorites. I really like the green pumpkin with all those flakes in it. I think it kind of gives it a little bit of pizzazz. You know what I'm saying? So let's get this cut up here. Waiting for the red to get done. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little heat stabilizer in that. Probably doesn't need it. It's probably already got some in there. We'll get that one going after the red gets heated up. I got to get this again. You always got to heat your plastic up to about 350 to get it so that it will get to that phase where it starts turning over. It's got to be heated past a certain threshold, so then that way it sets up properly. And we can add our color. We can add it to the vacuum pot just to make sure there's no air introduced into it, because we're going to introduce air into it once we add the color, because the color will have some air in it. So that right there, it's already starting to gel. This is a dead-on plastic, I believe, that I'm using right now. Once I finish using my dead-on plastic, I will probably move to bait plastics. I do like dead-on plastic, but I'm more of a fan of the bait plastic. A lot of people have their own opinion. I really don't have a huge opinion on the different types of plastics. Dead-on's been pretty good. I've had it for a long time. I've still got actually a couple, I think I've got 1 or 2 gallon jugs sitting here still that I've got to use up at some point. And I'm a big fan of mixing them up too. So I will mix up the certain types and, you know, add some hardener to it to make it a little firmer than what it normally comes. Because sometimes when I originally bought plastic, I bought the dead-on featherweight floating plastic, and that has a lot of softener in it, so you have to mix it down if you want it to harden up. And I took a couple of those soft plastic ones and I put them together into a 5-gallon jug, and I added a whole bunch of hardener, and that seemed to help out. Now it's like a medium plastic, and it's actually kind of perfect. So I'm going to try to keep that consistency, especially for worms and Neds and that kind of stuff. So let's just see where we're at right now. Okay, so we're at like 350 right now, 355, 360. I'm going to just go ahead and mix this up one more time. I really can't pronounce that. I don't know if methylate, I guess, 132, it's Lure Works. Let's go ahead and get this color into this. I've shaken it up quite a bit, and I want to see how red this is. I don't usually work in drops. I'm just not that kind of guy. But I want to see how bright red this is. It's really not as red as I thought it was. But I'm going to go ahead and use a fair amount of it. It's not really brightening it up to the red that I want, so I'm going to go ahead and add some dead-on red. Which is exactly what I want. That's exactly what I'm looking for right there. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to match this head. I'm trying to match these heads. So if I take it out and show you guys, this is what I'm trying to match. It is a very bright red, and I'm trying to get the same thing out of the colorant. And right there actually seems pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit more red just to give it a little bit more of a shout. So really what that was dead-on plastic red, and I put in some of that other red colorant. So this is nice and bright red. So what I'm going to do is get this mixed up. Probably going to heat it up again. Get it in the vacuum pot. And then we're going to go ahead. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And then we're going to go ahead and make some tails first. Alright guys, looks like we got the red heated up fairly good. It's at about 330 right now. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in the vacuum pot, get the air out of it. And once I get the air out of it, I will then go ahead and probably heat it back up just a little bit, just so that it's warm enough to put into this mold. And then we're going to go ahead and shoot the tail mold. Now I have made a couple of baits in this so far, and all I did was a chartreuse tail with a green pumpkin body, and I gotta admit it came out pretty good. So we're gonna do, while that's doing that, we're gonna go ahead and heat up the green pumpkin, just try to keep things progressing here. I'm gonna go ahead and clamp this down. Always put 2 clamps on most of my molds. I just do it opposite way, just for weight. And it looks like this is done already. It's degassed. We're going to go ahead and let the air out slowly here. That actually came out pretty fast. We're going to go ahead and knock down some of the air bubbles. I use a butane torch to do that. That's pretty perfect red right there. Pretty perfect. And again, I was trying to go for something like that. I mean, that's red. That's pretty good. Close enough. So in this part in the video, I actually lost the audio portion of the video. My wireless receiver died, and I couldn't get it to come back, and I actually didn't even notice it for a little while. So I'm going to go ahead and dub my voice over everything. But right now I'm just talking about how we're going to do the tail mold and how we're going to inject that red that I made up, and how kind of perfect that the color came out. And it did come out better than I thought. It matched the lead head very well. So the one thing that I was talking about, I believe, on this was what temperature to shoot these at. And with these smaller baits, I've noticed that you want to inject them at a temperature that's a little bit lower than what you would normally shoot. Like I normally shoot around 350 to 375. In this case, I want to try to shoot at about 330, 325-ish, and just, you know, let the plastic sit there for a minute, just cool down just a hair. It definitely helps when you're injecting these smaller molds with a lower temperature plastic. It seems to really help with not having any denting and a lot less air bubbles. And you just take your time, go nice and slow. You don't really have to worry about any kind of flashing as long as you don't push down too hard. So I'm going to grab some of this plastic here, and we are going to bleed off the injector and then go ahead and shoot it. And like I said, nice and slow. Keep steady pressure on it. I usually keep a little bit extra pressure just to make sure the air gets out of there, and then just top off the sprue when you're done. Now these tail molds, they don't take a lot of plastic, so you really don't need a ton in there in the injector or anything to fill these up correctly. So just keep that in mind. And again, you do not have to hammer down on the injector. Just go nice and slow, take your time, and you should be fine. So while that is setting up, I think we're trying to get the next color lined up. I think we have the cutthroat trout changeable that's sitting over there on the bench, and that's gonna go. But trying to see what all I'm doing here at the same time. So just bear with me, because I have to voice this over, and I'm trying to watch at the same time I'm recording my voice for this too. Oh, I spilled a little bit of the glitter on the table, and of course you know how that goes. If you lay a knife in it or whatever, it's going to pick up that glitter, and you're going to mix it back into your cup and you're eating it. You don't want rogue glitter in your plastic, so just be careful. Keep your workstation clean. So I'm going to demold that tail mold and show you guys what it looks like. The mold itself, I think it holds 16 tails, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we overflashed just a little bit on one of them, but they came out great. The color came out the way I expected it to come out. I think I'm holding it up to the light right now to check for air bubbles. Very minimal air bubbles. But again, this does 16. So I think I found one or two that had some air bubbles in them. So I just threw those back in the cup. We can remelt those down. So I really only need 14 for the actual mold itself. So here is me I'm just taking them off the sprues, getting them ready so that I can put them into the big mold. But that's how it comes out in the sprue. You can see how it branches off both sides. And like I said, the color came out great. I would really like to try these myself. I think I'm going to save a couple for myself. You know, I made them mainly for my friend so he could try them. And I'm going to keep a couple for myself just so that I can try it. So after this, the next thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to get the big mold open, I believe, and start laying out the tails into the mold. And how this works is the tails actually have there's a little piece that bumps out that when you tear it off, it's like a little tab. So it will set into the mold and be free floating. So when you inject the plastic into the big mold, it will actually form around that little section of the tail, and it'll make a good bond. So the one thing you want to keep in mind too is you want that plastic to be a little bit hotter. Now that I will shoot at probably about 350 plus, just so then that way it'll make a good bond to these tails. And if you notice, I don't take the tails over to the water to let them cool down and set up, because I want them to stay a little bit soft and warm, because I think it'll make a better bond to the bait when you're actually doing the main baits. So just laying these out, getting them in the mold correctly, making sure that they're in the spots they need to be in. And I think I made a mistake here when I put this together. One or two of the tails weren't in there perfectly correct. And I think what I did was I had one, one was just off center there. So I had to fix that one. But when I actually put these together, I found out that there was one or two in there that were not in there correctly, like perfect. They were not in there perfect. They were a little bit over the edge. So what I ended up having to do was I ended up having to peel a little bit off. There was a little bit extra on the outside edge of two of them. So now I've got the green pumpkin plastic ready. We're going to go ahead and inject that. Just want to make sure that everything is where I need it to be. I'm not sure if I've added I think this is the part where I add the flakes that I need. So we're going to one at a time just add the flake that I need to make it my Grinch color, which consists of silver, gold, red, green, and black flakes. So there's 5 flakes in this, which the plastic that I already had pre-made, it already had black in it. So as I'm putting in the gold first. I can see the color from here, and what I'm doing here is I'm using a little tiny measuring spoon. I think it's called a smidge, and I believe I did 1.5 scoops of the gold, and that is a 0.015 grain size for the flake, and I did that on all 4 of those colors. So there's the silver, and I'm trying to open these and scoop them off the table because this glitter, it just makes a mess. So I think the next color we're going to be doing here is the red. Yep. And again, 1.5 for each color. And I'm just trying to keep the glitters off to the side of the table. And here comes the green. We'll get the green in there. And I believe what we're going to have to do here is get the glitters mixed in thoroughly. Again, another 1.5 on the green. get the glitters mixed in thoroughly so that they're in the plastic, all throughout the plastic. And now that we're stirring this in, we're also adding air and moisture to the plastic. So we're going to have to put it back in the degassing chamber and re-degas this plastic. Is that a real word? Re-degas? Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and degas this color, but you can see the flake in that color. See it, the red, green, gold, silver, black. I mean, it's a fantastic color. It's one of my favorites. If I make green pumpkin, I typically make it like this. Like I said, I call it the Grinch. It's very Christmassy. So I think I'm putting the glitters back there, get them off the table, get them out of the way. Always keep a clean workstation. And just getting the plastic all mixed back up. Get everything off the sides you can when you're cleaning this stuff up. Try to get everything in there that you can to, so then that way when you heat everything up, it's all the same. I think I'm going to heat it up. Now that it's done being heated up, I think I'm jumping to the next one. Checking the temperature, making sure it's where I want it at. Like I said, 350 plus. And I'm putting it in the degassing chamber now just to try to get some of the little minor air bubbles out of it. And once we get all the air bubbles out of it, and typically I try to get it down to -30, I believe, is the correct pressure that you want to. I try to maintain getting it to 30 or close to 30, between 28 and 30. And here is the other color that we're going to do, is the Cutthroat Trout Changeable. And it's an awesome color, and it's got like this brownish orange tint to it. You can see it right there in the bottom of the bottle. But the color is fantastic. It's kind of like a dark watermelon. So we will get that plastic heated up. I believe that's what I'm doing now, is I've got that one plastic. I've got the new plastic in the microwave heating up while I have the other one in the degassing chamber. So I think the degassing chamber one is done now. Yep, taking that out, getting ready to inject. I just knocked off some of the air bubbles on the very top of the plastic with a butane torch. And now we're going to go ahead and pull it up in the injector, bleed it off, and then we're going to go ahead and inject it. And again, don't force it. You're going to have some flashing if you force it too hard. Just where you can feel it stop. And this mold in particular, it does draw in some plastic because you're doing 14 baits at a time, and it's using a little bit of plastic. So you want to make sure that you keep topping off that sprue. It needs to be topped off regularly. It will pull quite a bit of plastic down into it. I just tried to do it before with just letting it go without topping off the sprue, and it pulls the sprue plastic way down in. So just make sure that you go ahead and fill that sprue. Just keep topping it off until it stops taking the plastic. And if you don't top that sprue off, sometimes it'll have a tendency to pull air into the baits. And I don't think it happened to us in this one, and you can see that color there, the green and the red and the gold and silver in that, and it's great. I mean, I love that green pumpkin color. It came out fantastic. But I was saying about the sprues, sometimes the air, if you don't top off that sprue, it will pull air into the bait, and it'll be hollow in the center, which, I don't think you really want hollow baits like that, especially on a Ned bait. It's pretty small. So I think we're going to let that chill, cool down, set up a little bit, and then we'll come back and unveil the baits. So here is the unveiling here. We'll get it opened up. And I think I'm just trying to get it open. There we go. Get it opened up here. Oh man, those look great. So green pumpkin with a red tip, and these were gonna go onto a red, a red-headed Ned bait, a Ned head, if I could say that. Blah, blah, blah. So what you'll see in the water is you'll see a little red dot on the head. You'll see a green pumpkin body, the Grinch body, and then another red on the tail. So kind of interesting, like a double red-ended bait kind of thing. So I wanted to just see how that would come out, see how that would play out in the water. So I'm gonna let my buddy test them, see what he thinks of the color, see if they work good. He said he'll let me know, and I think we're gonna go ahead and take one of these baits off at some point. See if I get one out of there. And like I said, there was a little bit of over flashing on the tail, because what I ended up doing was when I put the tails in the mold, I smushed one or two of them, and it smushed the tail out into the mold. So it kind of looked like over flashing, but it really wasn't. Just gonna take a picture to send to my buddy. So I went ahead and did that. So we're gonna go ahead and get one of these baits out, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the Ned head so you can actually see what it looks like in person. There we go. So I got it out. Gonna go ahead and put it on the Ned head, and these are the weedless Midwest Finesse jig heads from Do It Molds that I make myself. And if you pull it up to the head, just like a weedless hook, like you're using a offset hook, like an EWG hook kind of deal. And there you have it. So there's the weedless Ned with that cool green pumpkin and red on both the top and the bottom. Pretty nice. Came out really good. Came out better than I thought. Could be a little bit brighter in the tail, but it came out, I think, the best it's going to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off that bait. We'll reuse that. That little fine hook isn't going to really do too much to it. All right, so I've got some green pumpkin. I'm going to actually go ahead. My buddy just wanted some plain Grinch green pumpkin here, so I'm going to go ahead and make these two and show you guys. All right, plastic's ready for the changeable. I'm going to give it one more shake. Make sure my audio is working correctly, which I think it is. And we're going to go ahead and put some in. I'm going to go ahead and put a fair amount in, just to see what the color does. That's not enough. Still need to get enough up to snuff to where we've got some color, and then it becomes change. Oh yeah, I can see the changeable in it now. It's almost like a brown with an orange. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put in that much. I put in about 3 squirts, so it'll darken this color up a fair amount. Probably looks like brown to you guys, but I don't know if you can see in the cup, it's changeable orange. So I can see the changeable orange. We're gonna have to just make up a bunch of these baits and just see what they look like. I'm not gonna put any flake in this. I'm just gonna go strictly colorant. But for now, I'm gonna get it in the gas chamber, the degassing chamber, and get her good. Now what I did was I purposely let this one go down through, and I let the sprue suck it up. And see what it did is it sucked it way down in there. So hopefully the baits are still okay, but we will find out here in a second. It may create an air void in some of the baits, and these are just some green pumpkins, but I don't feel any air voids, so I think we're okay. Looks like it got down. Yep. No, we're okay. It made it in all the baits. So we're going to go ahead and pull all these off. I'm going to get these cooling in some water. And these are just some green pumpkin. Got no air. Just some green pumpkin Ned Crawlers. They look pretty sweet. You see all that flake in there, all those different colored flakes in my Grinch color. Love it. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go cool these off. We're waiting for the changeable to get done. Once the changeable gets done, we will go ahead and make some of these in a changeable and see how cool they come out. Alright guys, I got this changeable ready. Man, does it look awesome. Super sexy. It's like an orange, it's like a brown with an orange color change to it. I can't wait to try this. It's going to be so cool. Let me go ahead and clean this injector out real quick and just put some more worm oil in it just to give it some good lubrication so it goes smooth. But this color is going to be pretty interesting. I've never heard of that. I bought it a while back and it's been sitting here and I've been really excited to try it. Okay, there we go. So we are ready. I'm going to go ahead, pull up some of this Cutthroat Trout by MF. Okay. Okay, so we're there. Now, if I'm sitting here holding this, I can feel it drawing more plastic in because it definitely uses some. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pour this, get this back in the container, and then when it's ready here, I'm going to top off the sprue once it sucks down a little bit more, because it's going to suck down a little bit more. So let me do that off camera, and we'll be back when they're ready. Okay, so we've got MF Cutthroat Trout Changeable. And it kind of reminds me of a watermelon color, except it's got a change to it. In the sunlight, it's got an orange change to it. And the bodies are a little bit denser. See it? It's almost like that brownish orange is in the bodies. Really cool color. I like it. I may have to make some more, something different with these colors. I like this color. It's a very unique color. And you don't really see it until you get it. Like, see how I got it in my hand right now? You can see the change, the orange-brown change there. See that? And then that's what it's actually see-through, like almost like a watermelon. So that's a really cool color. So I may throw these in with my buddy's box just so that he's got these as well. But came out really clean. A tiny bit of overflashing. Don't think he's going to be too upset about that. I'm just going to throw them in there, just give them some kind of a translucent color. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Because we've gone way over on the time already, I think. And I've just got to make one more thing of green pumpkin and then I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Stage everything up for my picture. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll wrap this video up. Alright guys, well this is what we got set up for the thumbnail picture, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys what we made here total today. We did some tails with the bright red so that we could match the Ned heads that I poured from one of my buddies, Kevin, and we made some of these awesome green pumpkin, Grinch green pumpkin with red tails Ned Crawlers. We also made just some straight green pumpkins, which I liked. The color is actually called the Grinch because it's got a bunch of different flakes in it. So we're going to go ahead and box those up for my buddy to ship to him. And then we did this changeable Cutthroat Trout changeable color, and it's pretty neat. It's very it's very dark watermelon type color. I did a little research and looked it up, but it's a little bit more dark watermelon, and it's just got the changeable in it where it changes to brown and kind of goldish orange. So it's a very cool color. So the thicker part of the body, you can really see the orange, you know, or the brown kind of goldish tint to it. Really cool. I like the color shift color, but it could pass definitely for dark watermelon. So we've got all three of the cups we use. This is the Cutthroat, this is the Grinch, this is the Red, and just what we use today. But again, awesome molds by Epic Bait Molds. They pour great. I haven't had any issues with them yet. I tried pouring it super hot or injecting them super hot. I tried injecting them a little bit cooler, and they work fantastic. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed that. We got to make some baits in the Epic 2.75 inch Ned Crawler, and it's a 14 cavity mold. I got the bigger one, and what a great mold, and it shoots awesome. And then we also got the tail mold that does 16 tails at a time, and we did a red combo. We did a green pumpkin Grinch with red combo there. That turned out really well. And then we also did just some straight Grinch green pumpkin, which my buddy uses a lot in the river and loves it, says it works really well. And then we also did the changeable Cutthroat trout color, and the changeable's not as noticeable. Maybe I have to go a little bit thicker next time, but it's definitely a see-through bait, and it reminds me a lot of dark watermelon. Well, we had a great time making these baits. Shout out to Epic Bait Molds, great mold company. You guys should go check them out if you're looking for a Ned bait. They have some great baits. I mean, the swim baits are awesome. All their molds are awesome. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, keep on baiting.